So when I went off to Vienna, I said, I'm not getting that degree. I'm going to be an artist. I'm not going to worry about this. And that's what I did. In retrospect, I probably should have gotten an MFA. I can't, for a long time, I don't know if it still would be the case, but I couldn't teach, say, Long Beach, because I don't have that higher degree. I can teach at other schools, which I taught at Art Center for 12 years, taught painting there. But at the state schools, there was a requirement. You've got to have that MFA in order to teach. So that sort of prevented that. I didn't want to teach. I eventually did. During that period in the 90s when the art world had collapsed, I had a bunch of money saved up. I came back from Iran, though, had a show that those Iranian paintings, and not a single piece sold. That was the first time that had ever happened. The economy was down, and my work just didn't click with anybody in America. So I eventually ran out of money, and so I had to teach. And people had offered me jobs at different times, and so I taught at USC, I taught at Art Center, sort of a full load, but in different places. And then the art world picked up a little again. I started selling pieces, and stayed at Art Center because I enjoyed teaching. I really enjoyed that class. I got great students. I could teach how I wanted. There was no rule. I taught advanced students. Set up the class as I thought a class should be taught, and that was enjoyable. But the MFA might have given more possibilities. I think it's great for intellectual development, great for getting a body of work together. In the MFA, I mentor for the MFA program down in Laguna. So it's good for all those things. But primarily, I think it allows you that teaching possibility. That's one of the main reasons, I think, for going to a grad school.
Did the phrase starving artist ever reverberate with you at all?
Quite a few times. I've raised a family on painting. For many years, my wife didn't work that much. She's back working now. Our kids are, my youngest is 16, so my wife has worked for 3 or 4 years now with the company. But when she first was pregnant, she quit her job as she'd been doing, and didn't work for quite a few years. The money that came in through a painting. Teaching doesn't earn you much money unless you're tenured in a position at a university. Then you get pretty good cash. But teaching otherwise, it doesn't bring in much money. At least it didn't for me. So it was always the painting that earned money, and at times it worked quite well, and at other times, it wasn't there. Very little money would come in. I would have maybe a good year with $100,000 coming in, and a bad year with maybe $15,000. And so I'd have to save it and put it away. Luckily, early on in the '80s, I bought a house in Echo Park, and so that allowed me. The mortgage on that thing was peanuts. $650, I think, something like that. So that allowed me to survive, along with just living frugally, I think. If you're doing well as an artist, don't count on that lasting forever. You want to invest things well, save some money, invest it. However, if you know anything more about finance than I do, that would be good. But you don't want to live, because you're doing well, you don't want to go out and buy that brand new Mercedes and live high on the hog. It's not going to last forever that way, probably. Most of the artists that I've known, it goes like this. There's times that are pretty rough and times that you think, man, it could be better than this. And it can't. When it's good, it's good.
And what advice would you give young aspiring artists that you wish you had known earlier yourself?
Don't think that just your great art is going to do it all. I think that's what I felt early on, in Vienna. Well, I'm going to make this great art, and that will just be enough. I think you always have to pay attention to the business side of things too. I try to make the art in the studio free of those thoughts. A little bit of it creeps in sometimes, but free of any of the business side of a career. And then when the work is done, I put it out there. But to make the work and to be able to make a living from it is a fairly difficult thing. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into that, you know, connections. I very often let the connections slip. I'm pretty mediocre at the business side. You know, I don't pay quite enough attention to it, but all that networking, I didn't do it for a long time. You know, when I was with Offsea Gallery, everything was selling. I just let them take care of all that. When Offsea collapsed, went bankrupt in the mid-90s, I had nothing. It was like starting all over again because I hadn't paid any attention to that networking, to those people that I should have been meeting, should have been keeping in contact with from museums, you know, other dealers, that sort of stuff. I had to start all over. So, you know, that would be, if you're building an art career, don't think just your work is going to do it. Have the best work in town, but at the same time, pay attention to those other things that you've got to do.
And the last question is, if you did not pursue art, what would you most likely be doing right now?
I don't know. As a short order cook, I was pretty fast. I could break 6 eggs at once. You know, who knows? I mean, that's a hard one. I like to write, also, but so far has not worked out that my writing skills have attracted anywhere near the amount of attention that my art has. So, you know, that's a hard question. But yeah, the only other profession I ever had was cooking, and that was only for a couple of years. And I was only good at it because I was consistent and fast, not because I actually had a good palate and knew what I was doing. So if I was, I wouldn't be a fancy chef. I'd be some old haggard guy in a diner, you know, in the back slinging eggs. That would be my profession.